Todd Howard has said this. I'm not saying this. He has said this. 2020 Todd Howard has said this. 2023 he has delivered opposite of what he has said. Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing well. So recently Todd Howard talked about his video game career with The Wired, and I thought it's interesting to see how he sees the games he has made from his perspective. I have no idea how I missed it, but I always wanted to talk about his games post Daggerfall because I haven't played the previous ones. So I want to see how he talks about it. In case you don't know, Todd Howard is the greatest meme lord. I'm joking, okay? He's a great person, okay? He honestly knows how to pitch his products. He oversells them every single time and can't really write it off. He's really good at pitching his games. And every time I spend my time in the lawn, mowing the grass, looking around, realizing I haven't done anything past the hour except stand in the sun, I just remember his words, his greatest words. It just works. Anyways, let's move on and let's see what he has to say about his video game career, like how it works. So yeah, let's get into it and let's talk about it.
I am Todd Howard here at Bethesda Game Studios. You might know me from games like Skyrim, the Fallout series, and now Starfield. And I'm here to talk to Wired about some of the games that we've made.
Okay, there we go. Wow. I didn't know he has 1995. This is like when I was nowhere near in existence. The Terminator Future Shock designer. He was a designer at that point. Okay, that's nice to know. CD-ROM, mouse-like controls.
What people don't know about this game is one of the first full 3D shooters where you look at controls today with mouse-look controls and using WSAD. This is the first PC game to ever do it.
Really?
I had just started.
This is the first PC game to do it. I didn't actually know that. Okay, nice.
Started at Bethesda. This is in the mid-90s. Team sizes were small. We're talking like 10 people, 12 people, tops. Everybody had to do a lot of different things. So I did a bit of 10 people.
You know what's so ironic? That the game is showing Los Angeles 2014 and they're like flying things around. Today, this thing probably didn't happen. You don't have this kind of technology. But actually, you do have flying technology. I'm just waffling on. Let's move on. 12
people, tops. Everybody had to do a lot of different things. So I did a bit of programming. I was producing. I did level design. I became the sound effects guy. What's fun with this is the old manual that came with the game. And there's a sketch in the back. There's a lot of cool artwork here.
I just don't know, why is that manual so fresh? It looks like it's just been made. Has somebody actually preserved a copy of this? How is the material so fresh? That's what I'm actually more surprised about.
One of our concept artists did a sketch of the core team here, positioned as if we were the resistance in the Terminator world. And there's me in the back. And I remember David Plunkett here, the artist who drew it, just said, "Todd, I gave you the biggest gun." Whenever you're on a team, even if it's 4 people or 400 people, learning how to use everybody's skills and work together is, what gets you the best game. So, a couple of these games, starting with Terminator.
So this is his MS-DOS era in the games. Okay.
Is the beginnings for me at Bethesda, and there's a couple of different phases and chapters in terms of the games we made, the platforms that we're on, and how everybody worked together.
So when Daggerfall came into effect, he was a designer and producer. What the hell happened to my words? Okay, generated words.
Daggerfall is a game where so much of it is a giant procedural world where we're relying on the computer to generate all of the content and put the individual things that we had built kind of in smart places around the world. Think about 3D today. That work is being done by GPUs. Here, it's all done on the CPU. How we built the world is we have a height map where you get a bunch of vertices at a certain period, and then you're building a height map for the landscape, and then instancing, building 3D objects that get replicated.
It's actually pretty clever that this was done in 1960s, 1996, 66. Oh my god, if it was done as 1966, that would be amazing. You know what's the odd thing? I've never played Daggerfall, but I've tried to play it on multiple occasions. I had like 4 different PCs for this one, and I tried it running it on 3. And for some reason, I don't know what happened. It never started. I always was missing some files that I don't know which ones it was specifically to this day. Like, this is the only game I regret not playing, and probably I'm not gonna play it anymore because of things I'm gonna talk about afterwards, but let's move on.
Over and over on that height map. And believe it or not, it's how we build games today. It also pushes for us as we do role-playing games, what kind of character that you're gonna create. So Daggerfall's character system really is this jump up in terms of defining yourself, what are the advantages of your character, what are the disadvantages of your character, and brings in for the first time the Elder Scrolls skill system that's...
This is the point. If there are advantages of your character, what are the disadvantages? Those things completely disappeared by Skyrim. There were no disadvantages to your character. You literally could build a character that has ridiculous advantages everywhere. Like if you build like a Shadow Archer build in Skyrim, you were overpowered, that's it. And that build has still continued all the way in Starfield.
So many people know now from games like Skyrim. And this game had a lot of success, really brought the Elder Scrolls to a new audience. Redguard is the first game...
I'm just gonna say, I've heard Redguard of once in my life, but I've never played it.
...that I was the main project leader on. Didn't do that well. It's the last kind of DOS-based PC game that we made. It might be one of the last DOS games. It's right when 3D acceleration starts coming out. Really didn't hit a tech...
So basically it came out at the worst possible moment, I guess. I actually don't know. I should research this kind of stuff before I talk about this kind of stuff. I know everything Morrowind onwards. Before that, I don't know much because, you know, I wasn't even in my double years yet.
Technology window or a gameplay style. I mean, it's listed as an adventure game, but it's a true genre mashup. It has some adventure game elements. It has action game elements. It has some...
It looks good though.
Some role-playing elements. I guess you could say at that time, we started making a lot of games instead of focusing, and none of them turned out really, really great. And the company was in a really difficult position financially, and I did feel responsible, and I kind of stepped back from it and said, it's a really good game. Where did it not resonate? What's the takeaway? And it was just too conservative. We made a very, very small game. I think it's well crafted, but we weren't as ambitious as we could have been, and not what our audience we'd had at the time from Daggerfall and Arena really wanted from us when it came to the Elder Scrolls. The company's struggling. We probably have one more shot if we're gonna stay in business.
So this is like their last game from the MS-DOS. These are the games he has worked on specifically, okay? The team has obviously during this time worked on different other things. This was the games he was involved in.
So let's go all in.
Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. He was the game director. Okay, 2002. Achievement unlocked, best set. I'm just gonna say, this might not be a popular opinion. A lot of people might like me for this, but the Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind is the best game they have made till date. Yes, I'm comparing it to Starfield. Hate me as much you want. There you go, there's the comments. There's the dislike button, but this game is their best game. And I'm gonna show you how. Wait, let's talk him. Let him talk about this.
The company was kind of sold to ZeniMax Media, a new company, and reformed around that. The decision came down, we're gonna have one team, it's gonna be under Todd, and we're gonna do Morrowind. We aimed very high. We were very, very ambitious to bring back the Elder Scrolls with a core team that we had had.
The thing I have heard about Morrowind, like it's like a dumbed down version of Daggerfall, but the thing is I've not played Daggerfall to know Morrowind. I know Morrowind, Daggerfall not really that much. Yeah, let him talk about it.
Taking the learnings from a game like Redguard, where we are hand building a world, but now we're doing...
You see, that's their strength. They handcraft the world, and that is the greatest thing about Morrowind. It was jam-packed with stuff that you could find every 4 steps you take, you're gonna find something new. You will always feel like in a constant adventure. It never held your hand. Okay, go there, do this, meet that. It literally told you, do this, and you're on your own. How do I do this? Where do I go? Who do I talk to? You're on your own. And that's the greatest thing about Morrowind.
Doing it on a larger scale compared to the games people know today.
I mean, look at this. Look at the visuals, even the tiniest details on these things over here, or on the bridges right over. That's like something written in the language. I don't remember which language it was, but every small thing makes, like, it feels like it adds to it. Even the carts that are on the bridge, you understand you can't put them on slopes, so they're on a flat surface. Like, every single thing adds. Every detail has a story on its own.
Actually still very, very small, but it's very, very detailed.
And what happened to spellcrafting? Like, bring that back. Like, what is going on?
And the other big thing that comes with Morrowind, we finally took it to console. So if we go back to the year 2000, Microsoft is thinking about creating the Xbox. And technically, it was great for us, right? It's a very PC-styled console, has a hard drive, so many things that we would be looking for in a console. And the big question was, how do we, translate the controls and all of those things? Fortunately, we are all here today because this game was a huge success. I was stunned. Obviously, it did well on the PC, but on Xbox at the time, it became the second best-selling game behind Halo.
Okay, so let's talk a bit about Morrowind. Actually, I'm gonna search a bit so I can show you guys why Morrowind was so great. Okay, here we go. An example of why Morrowind is the best RPG ever made. Okay, picked up a quest from the Mage's Guild. I have a bit idea, like high-ranking mage wants, yeah, the mushroom was on, no big deal. So first of all, seems like some high-ranking mage wants me to go collect a few mushrooms, no big deal. Yeah, it sounds pretty simple. If you look at it from Skyrim, it's just gonna tell you, they're right over there, they're right over there, right? Morrowind doesn't tell you where they are. You have to go look for them. You have to find the mushrooms, okay? Head south to the Ode to find some mushrooms, managed to find 2 of them, but the bungler's pain, and he's basically not able to. He has no idea where the other 2 are, okay? So I searched all around Sedanine and managed to find the mushrooms. Unfortunately, both of my attempts to harvest a good specimen failed. This damn mushroom is a pain. I searched all over the coast with no luck, but happened to stumble on a dead tax collector's body. Why am I struggling to say that? I pick up his tax record and continue on the search. Still can't find the damn mushroom, but I get attacked by 6 different cliff racers. Good thing I'm in a battle-hardened Legion veteran. Still no mushrooms. I see an ancestral tomb across the water. Maybe some mourning damer wife left a specimen of it on the ashes of her husband. Who knows, but it's worth a check. Goes to check around because there are no quest markers. You have to actually go and look for the damn thing. I entered the tomb, cut through the handful of boardwalkers, and no way. A perfect specimen of the mushroom lying around on one of the altars. Finally, I find one of the urn on the man. It's presumably recently left in the ring of the boosts my intelligence willpower significantly. Perfect for a legionnaire just getting started in the Mage's Guild. I get ready to take the slit at the Styre to Balmora, but figure I should probably report the murder to the tax officer first. So I do so and honorably hand over the gold found on his body. Okay, I'm told that I have received much larger reward for bringing justice to the killer. Sounds good. Check the tax record and it seems some people never paid him. I talked to one of those folks and I'm told that he had a girlfriend now at the lighthouse. I end up being the poor legionnaire who has delivered the news to her, and her lover died in service to the Empire. She begs me to find his ring, and now this is personal for both of us, for her lover and for my empire. I noticed some dude owes him quite a lot of gold on the tax record. Best to check first. I find a shack, speak to him. The murderous governor doesn't even plead innocent. He tries to convince me he's right though, but he must not realize I'm talking to an officer of the Imperial Legion. Justice must be done. I brutalize his body, bring back peace of mind to the citizens of Sedanine, and the whole ordeal. It's a good thing the Mage's Guild and decorated legionnaire on the start. Long live Imperial. Name a single game that can flawlessly and unintentionally make you fall into such interesting adventures that befits your character perfectly. I'll wait. The thing is, this game doesn't hold your hand. It drops you in and tells you, do that stuff. It's one of the greatest games. I'm telling you, like, its character creation, everything adds to it is one of the greatest things I've seen. So let's move on. Oblivion. 2006, game director. Obviously by this point when he made a bestseller, you're gonna assume he's gonna keep his post, okay? Industry breakthrough.
Instead of coming out with a quick sequel to Morrowind, why don't we take 4 years can really go ambitious again.
And look at that handcrafted world. That is the strength of Bethesda. They build worlds that are extremely beautiful. I mean, look at Oblivion. Their capital was ridiculously beautiful. By the way, if a game ever gets remade, I want it to be Morrowind. I'm just gonna say, like, I want it to be remade again with the current gen graphics. It would look amazing. Oblivion also looks beautiful.
For the next console, with hardware that doesn't exist. Team size now is getting up to around 60, 70 people. And this is a game where
they achieved it with 60, 70 people. What's gone wrong in the future then?
The core group from Morrowind was still here. We could build on that and be ambitious. We changed the technology hugely again, getting into pixel shaders, having to guess on it.
And I'm just gonna say, by the way, this game was not made in the Creation Engine. The Creation Engine has not even come to life yet. I think it was, I don't know which was the first game that created Creation Engine.
Hardware. So whenever you're doing
I think it was Skyrim, probably. Or maybe it was Fallout, I don't know which one it was.
technology in your own side of massive amounts of content and art and design, and then you have a moving hardware target, it's the most difficult game development or any type of exercise that you could do as it comes to tech. There was a moment we were making the game with Xbox where that console didn't have as much memory as we wanted. And when they finally called us and told us that they were doubling the memory on the console they were shipping, we threw a party here. And I have never seen programmers look so happy in my entire life. This was a game that, for many reasons, it vaulted us to an audience we had never expected to see on the PC and the Xbox. It comes out later on PlayStation. And it really starts this other era of games for us, the 360 era.
Fallout 3.
We were at
I don't think Fallout 3 was actually their IP. They actually brought it from somebody. I think that was a top-down game at the beginning, and they brought it and turned it to a 3D one, which is also good. Fallout 3 was mind-blowing.
asked, what else does the team want to do? What do you want to do, Todd? It'd be good to have more than one franchise or one game every 4 to 5 years. At the top of our list was Fallout. It was a series that we had loved, that had come out a while ago, and we were able to get the license. This game comes out, I believe, about 2.5 years only after Oblivion. Uses a very similar technology base.
And look at the difference in fidelity. Like, that's the thing I want to point out. From Starfield to Fallout 4, the jump was huge. Okay, it was huge, definitely. But when you compare it to the people around them, that jump is not that huge. But here you have a good look at it. Within 2 years, this jump is huge. This is the difference that Bethesda lately is not making.
Base that we have built. It's our second game on the Xbox 360. One of the things that happens with games is knowing your tools, knowing the level of technology, and getting your whole team used to working with that pays big dividends. It's also really special because we're picking up a franchise that we hadn't worked in before. It's very new for us, it's very exciting, but how is it going to resonate when we translate basically somebody else's work the way we would do it or the style of game that we enjoyed best?
And they did it pretty well. They did it pretty well. I think it's, if you're taking over somebody's IP, first of all, one big thing is see what they have done. You don't want to ruin their IP, and you want to build on that IP and be brave with certain things. And that's what they did. And Fallout 3 just bang.
And this game was even more popular than Oblivion. Some of that audience came with us, and it also found an all-new audience because yes, there's post-apocalyptic things in movies and literature and games, obviously, but really, there's nothing like Fallout.
The reason is because I don't think people who like the same genre like things in different genres. I basically like anything that has to do with an open world and RPG. Okay, if you combine those two elements, I'm just gonna be happy to lose myself in it. But here's the thing, some people like some specific settings. Like I know, like one of my friends likes the Fallout setting. He likes post-apocalyptic world. He doesn't like a world which is extremely future focused like Cyberpunk, but he likes a world that's falling apart. But if I bring him to a medieval world, he won't be that much interested in it. Everybody has like their own genres and niches they try to enjoy and avoid. So in my case, I don't really mind these things. I just enjoy games for the sake of being games.
It's the world before the bombs fall. This world where the view of the nuclear future is this utopia that then gets destroyed. And it also has my favorite beginning of a game. This idea that when you leave the vault, you had spent your whole life there, And how do you make the player feel that way? So us jumping through this montage of these periods of your life, I think it's on your first birthday in the game. When you're a baby and you're able to walk around, you press the button and the baby says, Dada. That's actually my son on his first birthday.
Wait, what? Wow. I didn't actually know that.
That I recorded saying that back to me, so very special game for me. And that sits right with Oblivion.
Greatest IP, I think. RPG masterpiece. Skyrim, 2011, game director, Xbox One. RPG masterpiece. Just saying RPG is role-playing game. I would say it's an open world more than RPG. There's nothing RPG. What is RPG about Skyrim? I don't understand what's RPG about Skyrim. The definitions for RPG have become so blurred, you just don't understand what's happening. Why? Because there's a skill system in it, so this is RPG. Anyways, I'm just gonna say I grew up on Skyrim as a teenager. I went back to Oblivion, enjoyed that as well. And then I went back to Morrowind and realized it was a masterpiece. Morrowind, masterpiece. I don't think Skyrim and Oblivion are as good as Morrowind. Morrowind is like really good. It punishes you, it teaches you, it doesn't hold your hand, and it literally gives you the whole world to play around in, but it literally treats you like a nobody. With Oblivion, they went away from that. In Oblivion, they gave you a lot more control, appeal to more casual audiences, and with Skyrim, they saw that financially, it gave them a success, so they built upon that and made it appear to even more casual audiences, I would say, and that Morrowind charm was completely gone, man. Like, what happened to that? In Skyrim, you're the main guy, okay? You are the guy. You're the guy who's meant to save the world. And I think to myself, like, from a writing perspective, I'm gonna talk about it because having a bit of a writing background. In Skyrim, you are the savior of the world. Why are you going to save the world? Like, what is your motive as the person to save the world? The character you're playing, the Dragonborn, what is the Dragonborn's motive to save this world? That's never really explained. Why? Why is this character trying to save the world? It's very important to have the character to have some sort of backstory, and I think this is one thing I notice about their games, that they feel like their stories don't really click as much as, I would say Morrowind's story is definitely one of the best, but their stories don't really click as much as any other games. Like, take Witcher 3 for example. Their story has a whole premise behind it. There's books behind it. There's so much behind it. There's a lore behind it that you can consistently keep exploring, talk about it, and the characters have a past as they talk to each other. You understand as Lambert and Geralt talk. You don't see those conversations ever in Elder Scrolls. Skyrim specifically, you don't really know the guy is trying to cross the border. Why? You don't really know. He gets caught. No memory of the past. Nothing discussed about the past. Where was he born or something? You just get that one specific reason. You pick the character, and that character is only gonna change the specific dialogues in the game, but it's not gonna change something significantly. Okay, the changes are gonna be very minimal. Skyrim is not an RPG. Okay, Morrowind is an RPG. I'm gonna say that thing for sure. Okay, let's move on. Let's see what he has to say about it. It's definitely one of the best games. It is. I mean, it's still being played to this date, so it's definitely one of the best games. But I think they should have taken some mechanics from Morrowind and brought them forward. I think they should bring Morrowind mechanics back in Elder Scrolls 6. It's very important.
Well, I think the one we're best known for is Skyrim. Now the team has grown. Now we're about 100 people. And you're looking at a team that grew from Morrowind to Oblivion to Fallout 3 and then to Skyrim. We were really firing on all cylinders in Skyrim, and it shows. We also started pushing the modding community. Modding is when you modify a game. You take it, you change something. People want to create their own adventures or artwork or anything. Our games allow it. We're huge fans of it. It's kind of how I started back on the Apple II, changing other games. It's still a complicated role-playing game, but the number of people who had never played a game like ours, or some people not even any video game, they came to Skyrim. So that right there is kind of that 360.
Yeah, that is actually, weirdly enough, that is actually true, because when I was young, I started on Skyrim. He's actually right about that. Oh, give me a moment, I have a call. The thing is that Skyrim is actually a thing that brought me to Morrowind. So in a sense, it's the truth that if I never played Skyrim, I would probably never play Oblivion, probably not Morrowind. Maybe I would in the future, but I was in my teens when I played Skyrim. It brought me to Oblivion, and that brought me to Morrowind, that brought me to Fallout, that brought me to Fallout 4. Technically, Skyrim was one of their games. Actually, he's right about that. It is the thing that appealed to casual audiences and brought them in and made me realize like Morrowind was their best game. So I might have played Morrowind much later in my time, and probably, maybe, yeah, actually no. I'm agreeing with Todd Howard. I didn't realize this, but Skyrim brought me to Morrowind. That's actually the truth. Let's move on.
Era for us with our role-playing games where they find an audience that we never ever expected to find, a level of popularity, and us here learning how to make these games. The team's about 110 or so after Skyrim, and we set our sights on the next Fallout.
Fallout 4 2015 Game of the Year. This is the thing like Fallout 4. Look, Fallout 4, I think they did something very right. They refined the story. They gave the main character motive. They gave the main character a reason to fight. The main character's kid is basically abducted and it's on its way to find it. That's what I mean. Like, add depth to the story. Add depth to the story. Make it a deep story. Make it a great story. Otherwise, there's no point in creating a story. Like, a game, I think, is made in 3 ways. First is the mechanics. Second is the story. And third is the creativity I think you can put into it. If every game is the same, but it's made by different studios, I don't think people are going to enjoy it that much. But with Fallout 4, they got the story part right. There was a motive there. But I think there's one of the greatest things I would say I don't like about Bethesda Studios is their combat. Their combat never really feels like it's improved. I really want it to improve, whether it's in, what is the game? I forgot. Oh my god. Elder Scrolls or Fallout, their combat always feels a bit loose to me. I don't know why it feels like that. It never feels like the combat is as reactive as it should, or they should do the whole dice roll thing like Baldur's Gate 3, because their combat is like very odd. In Skyrim, I'm just gonna say, like, in Skyrim, you're gonna slash with a sword. You might as well be slashing at air or a person. The feeling is gonna be the same. In Fallout 4, you fire a bullet at a rock or a mole rat, feeling is gonna be the same. That's my point. Like, that feeling doesn't come in. That's something that I would say Witcher 3 nailed, that their combat really felt like when you're approaching someone who's hostile, you go into a combat sort of mode automatically. I don't think people notice that, but point is, you can do certain combats. I mean, they should at least have dodge, block, that sort of thing. They don't even have these mechanics in games like these Fallout or Skyrim. Like, put these mechanics and make them better. They really need to improve upon these mechanics in Elder Scrolls 6.
Skyrim is the first creation engine game where we had redone a...
Oh, so Skyrim was the first creation engine game. I actually didn't know. What was the engine they used before? I think it was the Ergo or something engine. I don't even remember what it was. But the thing is, I feel like there's a weird shot. I like that. I'm gonna keep that.
A lot of the technology that then feeds into Fallout 4.
I think Creation Engine, I mean, it did give us a masterpiece like Elder Scrolls 6, but I feel like it's not really lived up to the expectations I had. I had huge expectations of it. I thought they would improve the engine radically by the point they come to Elder Scrolls 6. And the fact that Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be made in the same engine that has made Starfield, honestly, my expectations have dropped, that's for sure, because I expected this creation engine to take off radically, especially the 2. I was looking forward to its iteration, what it's going to be like, but as you see.
New scripting system, how we're handling all of the NPCs and the AI, the era of Xbox One, right? Where the technology level jumps up again, and we had a very, very dynamic world with this game.
And that's also the thing, right? Game studios have to actually upscale their technology, especially when they have like an in-house engine. They have to maintain, update, and consistently refine the engine that they have. It doesn't always stay the same with every game. Like the engine you saw, Creation Engine with Skyrim, you probably did not see the same version with Fallout 4. They definitely did refine it by that point. But I would say by Starfield, they probably realize it has its limitations and we need to improve upon that.
If you look back in Morrowind, we have NPCs that feel believable for that era, but they're pretty much standing around. They're signposts. As we go into Oblivion, we push that. The NPCs could wander around. They had day-night schedules. They went to bed. You could poison them by stealing all the food and then just putting poison apples around. They would decide to eat that. Fallout 4, it does feel like a good action game in your hands, but it has those RPG systems. Everything...
Guys, research RPG. It doesn't. Oh my god, these are open world games, okay? These are not RPGs. Fallout is not an RPG. What is RPG about it? It's just like an open world shooter game.
Can be used for crafting or used in some respects. So everything you pick up has these base components. Build your own settlements, modify your guns, modify your power armor. Minute to minute, I think Fallout 4 is a huge success for us for just how a game feels in your hands. So we have Fallout 4 and then really an offshoot.
This is something that I want to see how he describes. I actually want to hear this.
Shoot of Fallout 4 that is multiplayer.
Let us see how he describes this. Executive producer, did he get... Okay, achievement log going online. Where did you go to online, man? 2018.
Every game we do, everyone...
I think by this point, Bethesda went and looked at it and thought to themselves, like, you know, online games have so much money in them. How do we get a piece of that? How do we achieve that? And the fact is, did they do well? Kinda. But probably not in the way they were expecting. Probably not in the way we, the consumer, were expecting. And honestly, I think, who was the video by? I don't know. Internet Historian. He also made a video about it. And he said, like, they wanted people to bring into their shop, like their online shop, because that's where the actual money is made. The money for online games is made at the online marketplace. You see that in mobile games. You have gems that you need to buy, or diamonds or gold or something for real currency. That's the point of online games. As a gaming studio, you want that money because that money basically makes you more money. Okay, let's move on. I actually don't want to talk about that. That's a sore subject for me, online stuff.
Asks us to do multiplayer, we usually decide, obviously, not to. With Fallout 4, we had gotten inspired by these online survival games a lot of us were playing. We said, well, if we ever did multiplayer for Fallout, that's how we would do it. You know, borrows a lot of systems from Fallout 4. It's the first game really where we do that, where you can see things from the
I think it borrowed everything from Fallout 4.
previous game, almost directly in it. You know, it's a brand new type of game, and I think as people know, we struggled. And despite its
You didn't struggle, you straight up failed at that. That's actually the truth.
issues, we had a lot of successes. We built our own online platform from scratch, sold really well.
And it's also the something I'm gonna say that
Well, we had a
sold really
core
It did sold really well, and refunds were stopped. Yeah, that's also true. But the thing is that, you know, there's something I expect from Bethesda. I don't expect to deliver bangers after bangers. But the thing is, Bethesda has raised themselves after Morrowind. Morrowind, their name was put into spotlight. Oblivion, they became even bigger. Skyrim, they became even bigger. So they have this certain level of expectations on them. And that's something I would say, like, I'm an F1 fan, right? And I like watching F1 teams race and stuff. And I've seen, like, every single time some team messes in F1, people talk about them, people talk bad about them. But there's one specific team, like for instance, Ferrari messes up, people dunk on them for an entire year. That's the same thing with Bethesda. If you're a big ass studio, people expect you to deliver big results, okay? They don't expect you to deliver failures. But the reality is the people behind these studios are humans, okay? They are gonna mess up, they're gonna have mistakes, and they probably will not deliver products that will satisfy you to the day. That's actually the truth. That's something I learned to expect from reality, you know? Life is unfair. It's not gonna give you diamonds every single day, okay? Sometimes you just have to make do with the small things that you get. So let's move on. Let's listen to what he says.
audience playing the game despite its problems who were telling us, we love this, please fix it. We join with our community in having that communication about what would make the game better, how do we go about it, and us here learning how to get in a cadence and continue to update a game, put our heads down, do the hard work. And today, 5 years later, it is one of our most played games, now a very big success for us, both in terms of what...
Wait, is it their most played game? You know, I'm actually gonna have a look at their charts. Wait a moment. So here we are with Fallout 76 on Steam charts. Players right now, 8,131, 24-hour peak, 9,800 something. All-time 32,000. And you know what I decided? I just decided to search one of their other games, Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim. Their numbers from Elder Scrolls Skyrim beat the 76 chart. Like, way too easy. How is that the most played game? What's going on through his head? What is he on?
what it's doing for players, but also It made us much, much better developers going through a difficult process.
What is going on? Why are you sugarcoating this when you know you messed up here? There's also the thing, he's not gonna badly sell his product. His parent company is not gonna want that. Space shooter. Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna listen to what he says.
This is an all-new experience. The most ambitious game that we've made, and the scale of it dwarfs.
You know what is amazing? I remember something that Todd Howard once said about the scale of games. And hold on, I'm gonna look for that article. I'm actually gonna look for that article. Give me a moment. And then everything he says, we're gonna listen to it. Let me give me a moment. Okay, here we go. I found it. This is the article from The Guardian. It's published in 2020. 2020 this has been published in. And I found, here's the thing. This is said by Todd Howard, by the way. I want to emphasize this, how important. Let's just cast forward to the next 5 years, to 10 years of gaming, okay? Todd Howard is saying this. This is so important because I didn't realize there was more to this than actually I was thinking. 2020, he's talking about 5 years down the line. So up to 2024, 2020, 2030. For me, it's more about access than clocks. That's just sophisticated bullshit. I don't speak that. Just the time it takes to even turn on a console and load up some of these games is a barrier. You literally made a game with shitloads of loading screens. It's the time that you're not enjoying being in that world. What? You did the opposite of this. This is Todd Howard 2020 contradicting Todd Howard 2023. The kind of games we make are the ones people are gonna sit down and play for hours at a time. If you can access a game more easily, no matter what device you're on, where you are, I think the next 5 to 10 years of gaming is going to be about that. That's okay. But if you literally put shitloads of loading screens in one game that you have to load, enter a planet, load, leave a planet, load, go to a building, load, go out a building, load, go explore the different seed on the same planet, load. You get the point. You get the point of what's going on here. He's talking here about consoles, but you understand just the time it even takes to turn on a console and load up these games is a barrier. Loading is a barrier. He's talking about it. And that's not the only thing. Look at this line. I would like to see more reactivity in game worlds, more systems clashing together that players can express themselves in. I think chasing scale for scale's sake is not always the best. What did you do with Starfield, man? I think chasing scale for scale's sake is not always the best goal. Ladies and gentlemen, Todd Howard has said this. I'm not saying this. He has said this. 2020, Todd Howard has said this. 2023, he has delivered opposite of what he has said. Oh my god. Todd Howard denying Todd. Let's move on. Let's listen to him.
Done so far. For a long time, we wanted to do a space game, something that I've wanted to do for a long time.
You know, there's also that I always give these studios benefit of doubt. Starfield was their first stab at a space game. And I was also talking to like a software developer. I don't know how much expertise he has in this subject. He felt like this technology was being pushed to max. So I don't know why. Maybe they experimented with Starfield as well. Like they were seeing what they could do for Creation Engine 2 and they went with it. But then after Starfield came out, I remember like people dunked on them so much, still do. Is it a bad game? No. Is it a great game? No. This is not expected from Bethesda. Their standards that are for them are reasonably high compared to any other studio because they are a big studio. They are known to deliver one of the greatest products. They have delivered the greatest products again and again and again. So people want those products again and again and again. And I feel that's also a bit unfair, but at the same time, they should be delivering this. Like they shouldn't be like sugarcoating their failures. There's no point in doing that. The more transparent you are with your audience, the more your audience is gonna like you. Okay, we messed up, guys. It didn't turn out as we wanted. Imagine this. If Todd Howard advertised that my game, you cannot actually explore the whole planet. If he just said like this one exact line, would he be selling his game better or worse? He's great at pitching games. I said it before. He's great at pitching the product that he pitches forward to the audience. He is good. He oversells it. He overshoots it every single time. and he raises your expectations. Is that like a bad thing? I don't think it's a bad thing. That's exactly what you want. If you're making the product, you want the guy selling it to feel like he's doing really, really good with that product, that the product is way beyond its expectation. And Todd Howard just does that really well. That's actually the truth. And also, I saw this video about, what was it? Star Citizen. They actually showed their studio, and I think they were dunking on Starfield in that video. They were showing like, oh, we can do this without loading screens, that. But I want to emphasize, even they are messed up. Star Citizen, hold on a moment, let me pull up this search first. There we go. I didn't actually have to search that much. Star Citizen raised 104 million in 2023, total of 644 million in crowdfunding. What are you building? What, you creating God or something? 644 million, and they are showcasing their engine capabilities. 644 million, and I felt like that engine is then lack. Like, I'm gonna be honest, Star Citizen is basically the most spoiled game in the world. Like, what have you done here that is so ridiculously huge? 644 million. This game was meant to come out in 2012, I remember. 2023, it's still not done, and there's money being put in every single year. In fact, don't ever compare it to Elder Scrolls, or people should not be comparing this to Starfield. This is not a fair comparison. This game is literally very, very different. It aims for different things and achieves different things.
And something new outside of Fallout and Elder Scrolls, an IP that hasn't existed. So we did our first new IP in almost 30 years. Started development right after Fallout 4. We knew we were going to redo the bulk of our technology. It borrows so much of what we've done in previous games, from the procedural generation in games.
Now, this is the thing that I want to talk about. If you look at Starfield compared to their previous games, it's really good. It's far better than anything that they've created. But they're surrounded by now so many giants that are doing far better, that their jumps and leaps don't seem that significant anymore. And this is the thing that people I think the whole thing where he chased this scale, I earlier showed, he contradicted himself. Okay, if they had just done like one solar system, would be more than enough. If you could just like explore one solar system, that would be amazing. But they went after 1,000 planets. Like, what was the point? Why are you doing this? Just do one thing, condense it, do it better. People are going to spend their entire lifetime trying to explore. You're just doing it worse. I don't know why, and like, why push their technology so much to that levels where you literally get dunked on by other people.
It's like Daggerfall. We redid the base engine. That's the whole game loop. When people
That is not the right way to say it.
talk engine,
I don't think they redid the base engine. So how do I explain this? There's like evolution and revolution. But revolution would be when you completely revolutionize what you have in hand. I don't think they revolutionized Creation Engine 1. They evolved what they already had. They had like, I don't know if it was an aggressive evolution. I'm not really a coder, or I'm not into programming. I don't know how good it was. But I think from what I have read, what they have had from Creation Engine 1, they took out all the problems that must have been in it or anything, and expanded upon that very thing. That baseline is still there. They haven't tried to build a totally different engine. It's the same exact engine, evolved. It's like Creation Engine 1.2 rather than Creation Engine 2, in case you get it. It's not an entirely different version. It's the same version, upped in scale. Okay, and there's nothing wrong with that, to be honest. I don't think these things are the problem. The problem is usually what you do with it, how far you go with it, and what you're going to achieve with it afterwards. Because I'm going to tell you, if Starfield was set like in one solar system, I think it would be far better. And if they had condensed whatever detailed things they made, instead of throwing them across big worlds, there was no point in doing that. If they had just put whatever they handcrafted in one world, it would have been far better than they had if they had pushed it all in many worlds. Like, you have to find their handcrafted detail over thousands of worlds. Look at how much messed up that is. How can you do that? I think they need to return to that mechanics. The greatest strength of Bethesda has been its handcrafted world. Let's be honest, their combat is not great. Their stories have not always been mind-blowing, but their exploration has been their greatest suit. And Starfield is not an exploration game. That's actually the truth.
they're talking about what is the inner core loop of the game and how all parts talk, not just the renderer. Most people see engine, they think graphics render. That's just one part. So we redid the graphics renderer, we had a whole bunch of new AI, new animation.
Look, that actually looks good. It didn't have a ridiculous amount of bugs. It did have bugs, but it were not on the level of Skyrim as well. So that actually I'm going to give to them. The bugs were there, but they were not on ridiculous levels. I mean, people falling through spaceships was very odd, but
System. We have a
still
different
good.
system just for crowds, new system for visual effects. And so much of it was new. This project obviously took us a while, and a number of things
And also one of the things I've noticed, they never really put vehicles in their games. I've seen this. I actually expected Starfield to have like a vehicle like Mass Effect, but they didn't, sorry. Anyways, that's it.
Things also happened during this time. We're jumping up in hardware into the Series X and S on Xbox. The pandemic happens. Obviously affected everybody in the world.
The pandemic happened. Pandemic was actually very bad, I think, for most of the world. For some people it was good, for most of the world it was bad. Also, I've noticed during pandemic, a lot of companies grew in size, weirdly, and that was an unnatural growth. I mean, human is like a social animal. Like, there's like a very famous quote that man is a social animal. It's the only one that trades stuff, like something like that. I forgot what it was. But the fact is, when we trapped people in their homes, saved their lives, they stayed. A lot of online businesses also ballooned, and today those businesses are failing. Those businesses have like completely collapsed because they thought that growth that they had in the pandemic was actual growth. It was very unreasonable and reckless growth that probably wouldn't translate for the rest of their lifetimes. Yet they, for some reason, took it as their real growth and accepted it. And obviously companies suffered due to that.
And we became fully part of Xbox as part of them now with this game. You know, each of them on their own create a challenge. All of those things together made this one a challenge.
I actually want to know why they became part of Xbox. Was it because of financial reasons, because of pandemic affected them? I don't really know. I mean, let me know in the comments below if you know.
Challenge, but one that was really, really thrilling for all of us here. And if you see the original pitch of Starfield, go back 10 years ago, the tone, the way the game feels really, really sticks to it. Look what I made.
He also sold Starfield really well. I've said, like, Todd Howard's from Skyrim, Fallout 4, Fallout 76, Starfield, he has always known how to pitch his games so well that you forget his entire history and think, yeah, this is amazing, I'm gonna buy it. I mean, you remember everybody's reaction when Starfield's deep dive came out. Everybody was like, oh, this is great, this is unreal, we're gonna buy it. I think, I don't know, somebody talked about vehicles. I don't remember which interview it was, but somebody did talk about vehicles and nobody really thought about it. Why, if you have a whole planet to explore, why is there no vehicles in it? How are you going to get across the whole planet? The fact was, he never said this one thing that you're not going to have the whole planet to explore. Like, he didn't imply like you would have some sort of wall. He never talked about the boundary shit. You know, he never talked about landing, taking off. He never talked about loading screens being that many. But I don't think loading screens are usually the problem. If the game is really interesting, you're going to enjoy loading screens. Skyrim came out in 2011, and one of the games that I think really set the standard was The Witcher 3. It came out in 2015. You could go into Novigrad without loading screens. You could go to any house in Novigrad, which will, you know, not every house, but you could go in almost any house without loading screens, leave it without loading screens, go into caves without loading screens. And that happened in 2015. This is very essential. Starfield has come out in 2023, nearly almost close to a decade, like 2 years less, but still, it should not be having loading screens. I would be really surprised if Elder Scrolls 7 or 6, should have loading screens. It should not be having these things that should just not be there in the first place, because the technology clearly is capable of making stuff that needs no loading screens. I understand fast travel needs loading screens, but in reality, you shouldn't be having problem with that. Spider-Man has no loading screens now because of, like, you know, the PlayStation technology. Why does Bethesda need loading screens? Like, what is the technical limitation that makes them do something like that? They're not even clean about this. They don't really talk about how much problem they do have with loading screens. They should talk about it. And that's not the only thing. That there's also like discussion about the creation engine being technologically limited. I don't know how true that is because I'm not that educated about this subject, but they should seriously rethink about the future when it comes to Elder Scrolls 6. You know, I'm gonna try and look something up. Here we go. So there's this article. The Elder Scrolls Morrowind proves games are more immersive without quest markers. So Morrowind did not have quest markers. It didn't really hold your hand, as I said. And it was one of the best things that they did because they literally told you to go and explore the stuff, right? It has been 20 years since Morrowind's release. As Bethesda gears up for Elder Scrolls 6, Morrowind can look and feel very antiquated. I don't know if that's the word, antiquated for modern standards. I don't think, no, it's really up to the modern standards. It's the one game that's up to the modern standard despite being innovative at launch. And those things, I remember, like, which is the game? Assassin's Creed Odyssey has, at the beginning, when you choose a game, they give you like this guided mode or exploration mode. It's something that Morrowind did a long time ago. They literally took away your quest markers. And Assassin's Creed Odyssey also takes away your quest marker. It just tells you there's something south of Shark Point. You don't know where Shark Point is, so you realize it's something that is underwater. You realize it must be somewhere near water. You go exploring. You generally need to find where your quest is. That's something Morrowind did way better long time ago, and they should really do this today. Okay, one of Morrowind's biggest turnoff for modern gamers is lack of quest markers, and that's actually its strength. Following a map marker, players must listen and heed directions given by NPCs to the desired destination. Me and my friend were having a discussion about this. Like, imagine going to a city. Imagine, for instance, in Skyrim, you don't know where Rorikstead is. You ask Riverwood to the NPC which way to Rorikstead. They tell you like go north and go south, and like this splits left. We're like, wait, one game did have that. Morrowind tells you, like the NPCs tells you which way to go, and that feels more immersive than anything else. Until you get used to the layout of the land, you have to rely on the people, and that is actually in real life. Imagine if you don't have Google Maps and you're going to some location, you're gonna stop and ask people which way do I have to go. Google Maps has simplified this and you feel like a genius. Oh, I know where it is. But in reality, it's a satellite fucking telling you all the time. In reality, you go to the place and you ask the people where you have to go. What is wrong with that? They should add that. Elder Scrolls 6 turn off the quest markers. This may seem annoying by today's standards, but there's a lot of merit to the system. It plays to the immersion of the world. It plays to the immersion of any world you play. Morrowind refuses to hold players' hand. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. There is beauty to this immersion. As harsh and unforgiving as Morrowind can be, it makes every victory and accomplishment so much sweeter. Morrowind is so harsh at the beginning of the game. You literally have to figure out every single thing by yourself. They'll do nothing. I think the only game that did that very recently, I think it was, what was the game? Ancestors, the Humankind Odyssey. They literally said, we're not gonna hold your hand. But once you figure it out, you start doing it by yourself. Also, I'm looking forward if they ever get a sequel. I really hope they get a sequel. Morrowind's insistence on having the players do all the legwork on the adventure creates a sense of routine. Checking general, taking notes of a unique landmarks for previous quests, knowing the terrain, wildlife of a certain area, all these things become second nature to the players as the game progresses, because you gain memory of the land. You start learning over time and you know now where to go. And that's something they should be doing in Elder Scrolls 6. The process of following direction, making mental notes, and the natural incentive to explore off the beaten path in Morrowind gives it immersion that should be at the heart of every role-playing game. Morrowind was a role-playing game, is a role-playing game. I don't think they have any other games that are role-playing technically. I mean, what was this crazy game that I played once that I lost my mind in it? It was something like Kingmaker, Pathfinder Kingmaker. It had like, that's role-playing. That's my point. Like, role-playing is very essential. However, in Morrowind's case, the world becomes their guide and is to stand out, and since players aren't following anything by their instinct to explore. Perhaps the upcoming Elder Scrolls 6, there can be option to turn the map markers off and let the adventure guide player on the way. Pray to gods that this is the truth.
After Redguard, the company changes and now we're part of ZeniMax. We almost had to like reset ourselves and who we were coming into Morrowind, and then we build off that. These share a very similar technology base in the same way these share a technology base, and now this does. If we meet again, there'll be an Elder Scrolls 6 here. You're talking to me, but there's 450 people here. And we still have people that work on 76 and a team there and doing updates for these games. We have about 250 on Starfield. These only exist because of all of those people and us working together. That's why the games are so big. That's why there's so many moving parts and so many interesting things that people will find, is that comes from everybody here and all of them putting something special of themselves into it. You know, seeing it visually, even though they're obviously digital, the boxes make it tangible. These are these things, they have kind of their own personalities. And I'm going back and picturing the faces of the people here that I've made them with. There have been so many people that have been on the journey with us here, and can't wait to continue it together.
So huge congratulations to Todd for such a significant gaming career. It's not like he's a bad person or anything, you know. He's really good. He knows his job really well. He knows how to pitch the product really well. I said it so many times. He knows his stuff, okay? He's good. He knows how to make this happen. He knows how to pull Bethesda together. And I'm telling you, by the time Elder Scrolls 6 comes out, he's gonna pitch it in front of you and you're gonna feel like all is forgiven. we're gonna buy this. So I'll see you guys next time. Remember to like, dislike, subscribe, whatever sees you fit, and then take care of yourself. Goodbye.